I'm Joan Stallard. I live in DC and I'm working with MoveOn.org, and I'm an activist. I work on all kinds of issues, but this particular issue that we're meeting here tonight about is my most important issue, and that's corporate power. And to me, it was a crude move in 1886 that a corporate executive who had a powerful position basically as a clerk at the Supreme Court turned into a powerful position and it entered something into a ruling. And 5 years later, lawyers started using that as a precedent, and they didn't get stopped. And this is what not getting stopped leads to, is piece by piece by piece, corporations, because it's in their best interest to do so, grab. It's low-hanging fruit, and later on it's the more difficult to reach fruit. Sometimes they're a campaign to get more power in a few more years, but they all kind of worked at it until what we have now is healthcare being grabbed by corporations, where we used to pay $84 a month to have pretty full health care. This was maybe 10 years ago. All of a sudden, we had corporations taking over the full health care until that seemed like, oh, that's the way it is. It wasn't the way it is. It used to be non-profit health care. It used to be available. It wasn't ideal, but I mean, now we have the Bacchus committee being taken over by the healthcare companies. The healthcare companies got visits into the White House, where single payer and Medicare for all people didn't even get listened to. And they got invited into the White House, and deals got made. Deals got made with the Bacchus Commission, so that single payer people were forced to interrupt the hearings and get arrested to make the statements that it's that out of the 12 people sitting at the Bacchus Committee hearings, not a single person was there to represent single payer or Medicare for all. And they were all insurance company people. And I mean, this is what it came to, and that's why everybody in this country lost out on having decent health care, which would have been an expanded Medicare system, in my opinion. That's a small example. BP is another example. The whole finance boondoggle, the loosening of the restrictions from Glass-Steagall was a push from the corporations on Congress, get rid of Glass-Steagall, until there was nothing that there were no controls. I mean, the reins had totally been loosed on the corporations. So many people know these stories. It's not like I'm speaking of something that isn't just commonly known. People hear this and they say, "Well, what can I do? What can I do?" Because the corporations are so powerful, and Congress is, I hate to say that they're owned, but in effect, they may think they're independent, and I think they are independent on some things, but they have to go out and earn $150,000 a day to keep their seat. They have to leave the Hill and go over to the DCCC headquarters or the Republican headquarters and hit the phones and talk to wealthy people, and who get hit up all the time for money for elections. And that's their life. I mean, it's pretty crummy. I don't know why they want to continue this, but we want public financing. Get the congressmen back in their offices and voting on things that are right for their constituents, and that they genuinely have an ethical reason or a practical reason for creating legislation and voting for the legislation, rather than the fact that they know they got to have that corporation's money or they're not coming back. So that's public financing. And then the third thing is the lobbyists. I mean, I've been on the Hill a bunch of times and gone into offices where really well-dressed people with their briefcases full, and they could be military, they could be oil people, they could be insurance lobbyists, whatever, but they the camaraderie with the staff. I mean, they know first names, and they know, I mean, they have staff making appointments. They're taking an ex-congressman in with them, or who's made the appointment for them. So well connected, so well financed, and they have the money to do lobbying so professionally. Like a question comes up in their meeting in the conference room, the next day, some expert has called and has emailed and is presenting the paper on what the answer is to that congressman's question. And so he relies on them for up-to-date information, which of course is skewed to the corporation. It's not skewed for us, it's not skewed for you and me. And so here we are with activists being expected to compete with lobbyists who are paid hundreds of thousands of years and have, or dollars a year, and have staffs to help them. And I mean, that's why year after year corporations get more and more, because they're not just in congressmen's offices, they are in agencies' offices, in EPA and defense, and you know, they're selling new exciting technology to the Defense Department until it gets written into proposals. You know, you're up against the brightest minds out there who are being paid big bucks, and here we are. All we have is the law, and the law is double-sided. There's a set of laws written for you and me, that we go to jail if we disobey them, or we have to pay our taxes. And there's this whole other set of laws that involve signing statements and things that Obama has figured out since he got in that are even more powerful than signing statements. And then, you know, there's a whole lack of accountability. I mean, where the crimes of the Bush administration, Bush or Obama says, you know, we don't want to look back. We need to look forward. So accountability is evidently, which is the law. I mean, you commit a crime and you have to pay for it. You get tried for it, and people look at and make a judgment. Can't do that with the Bush administration. Accountability means you're looking backwards, and that's not a good thing. Crazy, crazy.